So, game number 2. Nerchio winning game number 1, bringing himself one map away from claiming victory for Acer. Can he do it on Frost? Well, spawning down in the bottom left-hand position, his opponent, the blue Terran player, representing my insanity, none other than Jjakji. And his opponent to the top right, the red Zerg, representing Team Acer, it's Nerchio. Good times indeed. This is tense. I'm genuinely shocked at how well Nerchio played. Actually, that's right, I'm not shocked. I'm impressed with how well Nerchio played game number 1. He was on top of things. He was defending against pressure very well, applying pressure even better, and Jjakji, in games I've cast this time and time again, showed how he excels at preventing banelings from really shutting down his play, but was just unable to do so against Nerchio. Nerchio just on top of it. So game number 2, things are going to be going a bit different. Jjakji is going to be opening CC first. I know that because no barracks has started and he's got 300 minerals banked up already. It's obvious. Frost is a big map, 4-player map, safe to do so. The question is whether it's on the low or high ground. Jjakji going to be putting on the low ground. And this is a minor point, but it could be an indicator that Jjakji not playing on top form. That supply depot stayed up. And I know this is so ridiculously microscopic in terms of the difference it makes. But every other ZvT, I've seen Jjakji go for a CC first on the low ground as his opening. He drops that supply depot to minimize the time the SCVs take to get round. Could it be an indicator of what's to come? Maybe. Could it be that Jjakji feeling a bit nerve-struck after that first map? Potentially. I don't know, I wouldn't want to speculate. But what I do know is that Nerchio is going to be happy right now. He's one game up. He's got a bit of a safety net, but he isn't going for anything crazy. Still opening with a hatchery first into a spawning pool. He played that first game, as I've said, remarkably well. And of course, Jjakji now has to step it up. He has to find a way to break this Zerg. Otherwise, my insanity will be out of the Euroseries. And of course, Acer will advance on into the finals. So a lot on the line in this game. For those of you who didn't watch game number 1 or weren't here on the stream earlier, while winning the Euroseries doesn't necessarily give you tons of money, what it gives you is the opportunity to say that your team is the best StarCraft 2 team in Europe. And that is no small achievement. That is a big thing that a lot of sponsors, a lot of fans are going to want to hear. Think of it in anything else. Think of it in football or soccer for my American viewers. Having your team as the best team in the continent, that's fairly impressive. But for the moment, Jjakji just scouting down early. Sees nothing too scary is occurring. Meanwhile, Nerchio doesn't know. All Nerchio has managed to deduce, at least I hope, is that his opponent is spawning the bottom left, because he scouted the other 2 positions. If he couldn't work that out, I question how he was able to beat Jjakji in the first game. But nonetheless, Jjakji is also playing this, while more greedy in terms of his economy, significantly safer. And I'm going to explain that because it may seem a bit confusing for people who don't watch much StarCraft. While he opened with a very economic focused build with the CC first, what that has allowed him to do is get out a few more Marines early, get this wall off up a bit sooner. He's a lot safer than he was. He's also applying less pressure. He's going to be following this up with a factory and some Hellions, and he's also getting down a 3rd CC, which is greedy, but he's not going for that Reaper play into Hellions into a Banshee, which was a lot of harassment investment. Instead, just playing a bit more straight up. Perhaps giving his opponent a bit more, not a bit more breathing room, but a bit more space, a bit more respect that, okay, Nerchio can win this. Nerchio played that first game really well. I need to take this back a bit of a level. Perhaps not be so greedy, not be as aggressive, but actually think about this and play smart as opposed to play hard. So the first 2 Hellions now just moving out across the map. Nerchio, though, he's getting his wall up on Frost, and Frost is a great map for getting this wall up on when you're using the 2 queens to plug the hole. It's a narrow entrance, you can do it safely and prevent any Hellions from ever making it past that wall. Nerchio is also switching things up a bit this game. He's getting a Roach Warren down, so he's going to be a bit more safe against Hellion play than he was previously. His scanning information for the moment is still very limited. All he knows is there's a natural base. That's it. Sees the Hellions coming across now. He's going to start chipping away at some of them. and a bit of damage being done early on is always nice. It just means they're a bit weaker when the follow-up push continues. But Jjakji going to bring that one Hellion back to repair it up, maximizing the efficiency that this push is going to have. Interestingly, already scouted that the third is coming up for Nerchio. Good move to make, because once that third's on its way, that's when you know that your Zerg player isn't going for something crazy, some massive roach baiting all in trying to end out the series quick. You know that they're transitioning and that they're going for the later game. Nerchio, though, clearly aware that that Banshee play is a possibility, so starting up a Spore Crawler just to be on the safe side. And I actually quite like that. One Spore Crawler to be on the safe side when he hasn't got any definite confirmation of what's happening is fine. A Spore Crawler is not expensive to Nerchio at this stage of the game. He's not lost much, 50 resources, like next to nothing. But what he has done is made sure that he's not going to lose significantly more potentially. A couple of drones are going to go down here, but the Roach is able to get in position. 1 or 2 roasted drones, 1 in total actually, is not the end of the world. Meanwhile, Nerchio should be aware that that third is up. Okay, now he is. Sees that mule get cooled down and is going to be very aware that, okay, my opponent's on 3 bases. I need to either take a 4th or deny that third relatively soon. The Infestation Pit is a big mix-up from how Nerchio played the first game. The first game, Nerchio was going Zergling, Baneling, Mutalisk, a very common strategy, the standard Zerg play. Getting out the Roaches and now an Infestation Pit is mixing it up a bit, perhaps suspecting that this is some kind of mech composition on its way out from Jjakji, because he's only seen Hellions for the moment, nothing else. He doesn't know whether it's mech or infantry, to be fair. He's opted not to sacrifice Musketeer. He has poked, but would have only seen a couple of Marines. Nothing else there as of yet. So this is still a very much a guessing game for the moment. Nerchio adding in a significant number of Roaches more. His Infestation Pit done. No Pathogen Glands started as of yet. He could also be going in for a fast Hive. He does have the 2-2 upgrades on their way, and that looks like what he is doing. This is a quick tech up into Ultralisks. It can be very effective. Judging by the timing of this, you can get a suspicion that that's on its way. But Jjakji now starting to move across the map. There are significant numbers of Roaches out, and only 3 Marauders in position or on the field available to Jjakji at this time. Therefore, he will struggle to deal with the Roaches, especially when these numbers are smaller. But Jjakji's production is solid. He's going to be getting a lot out. He's got his armory nearly done to start the 2-2. A slight little bump in his build. A mistake which I don't want to pick on too much, but it's not something that Jjakji would often make. However, Jjakji's attention is currently in dealing with these Roaches. A big stim forward. He knows that he's got Nerchio in a good engagement position, so he moves a long way. But without medevac support quite with this army yet, he's taking significant amounts of damage. The medevacs, though, now caught up with this force. He's continuing on, pushing more of these Roaches down. Gets an Overlord, not supply blocking Nerchio as of yet, but continuing on with more pressure. Nerchio now in a bit of problems. He doesn't have that much out to defend. Emergency Zerglings in production. 22 going to be hitting the field shortly. But it's the Marines stutter stepping back. No Banelings to deal with them that are dealing so much damage. Both players on 1-1, but only +1 carapace for the Roaches. It's the Zerglings that have to dish out the DPS there, but they're able to do it. Jjakji retreating away for the moment towards that third base, threatening the potential of a drop, but is not going for it as of yet, since Nerchio just has so many Lings following those medevacs for the moment. Quick little boost around, but Nerchio, of course, keeping a solid eye on it. Going to be pulling back, ready to go and defend up into the main base. Already those units coming down, but Jjakji plays the old trickaroo, heads to the third instead. Nice play, going to get some damage here. Not much, but a couple of drones. Then boom, straight up into the main, while dropping into the fourth. This is a big drop. 4 medevacs is a huge amount of units, a lot of damage going down. Pulls back from the main, but is able to snipe down that 4th hatchery. Big win there for Jjakji, the sort of damage that he was looking for and the sort of damage he needs. Behind this, he's got a 4th command center on its way through. He's retreating back, conserving units well, but for the moment, Nerchio is now on equal basis to Jjakji. Not what he wants. But let's look what's going right for Nerchio. Adrenal Glands, his Ultralisk Cavern is done, Chitinous Plating coming through, and his +3 carapace, and I no doubt +3 melee attack following suit fast. That gives him a great late game composition very early on. A nice force to deal with what's currently out for Jjakji. Jjakji has not yet seen the Hive or the Ultralisk Cavern, so he has no suspicion that this is on its way. May know something's a bit up since he hasn't seen Mutalisks and has seen a lot of Roaches, but no guarantee of anything as of yet. So what he's got to do is identify this, because he needs Marauders, not Widow Mines. Marauders are essential to this working, because you've got to take out those Ultras, otherwise they will tank up all of the Widow Mine hits time and time again. For the moment though, Jjakji applying more pressure. Unfortunately, the first Ultras are going to be hitting the field before this push manifests itself as actual damage. But Jjakji, being aware of everything going on, going to come and check. Is he going to check up here? Yeah, he does go up. So he sees that base. Should now definitely force a cancel. May wait for Nerchio to actually finish that, just to guarantee the 300 damage done. Nerchio allowing it to finish because his attention is over here. This is where we see a big push in. Nice fungal growth from those infestors, allowing the Ultras to close up the distance. Jjakji needs to split his army, but massive fungals go down. And this is where Nerchio can just tear through the army. Jjakji loses so much there. While he does take out the 4th base, he lost an army for it. Not necessarily the best trade in the world, especially when most of the swarm is still coming knocking. A drop will go down in the natural base. A couple of units, but with the medevac now taken out, the Ultralisk should be able to deal with the rest of the pressure quite easily. Jjakji, emergency retreat from those medevacs, needs more infantry in position because Nerchio, he's got a decent amount of supply. Jjakji is leveling that, but now banelings are coming into the mix. Not a single baneling detonation has gone down as of yet. The thing Jjakji doesn't have to cope with at the moment though is Nerchio's fungal growth. These infestors, no energy on them. Only one of them on the field, so he's not going to get that same hideous hit that he got previously that caused him to lose his entire army. But still, the Widow Mines unable to get a detonation on those Banelings. That means the Banelings come crashing up the round. So much damage done there. Jjakji forced to pick up, retreat back, play it safe because the damage is going to be big. The Ultralisks knocking out the natural, leaving the rest of the bases. But they've made their way through. Once again, just as we saw in the first game, Nerchio breaking the natural base. But this time, Jjakji managed to scrape together enough units. He loses his planetary of the 4th though, and therefore Nerchio is once again only on equal bases, not a base down. So both players taking big blows. This is a slugfest at the moment. They're both going for haymakers as opposed to any tactical fighting. And that's fine if you can end it out. But for the moment, equal bases favours Jjakji. These adrenal gland 2-3 Zerglings doing some nice damage, picking up a couple more workers. But Jjakji is only 4 workers behind that of Nerchio, but he does have 3 mules, which puts his economy up. So let's recap what's happened so far. Jjakji has repeatedly denied the 4th base of Nerchio, while having his own 3rd up for a long time. This has meant their economies have been similar. However, Nerchio invested a lot of tech early on to go up into Ultras nice and fast. They're 2-3 Ultras with chitinous plating. That's a lot of damage output available. He's just taken out the 4th of Jjakji, which means that they are on equal bases. But Jjakji's drops are what seem to be causing a problem to Nerchio. They are everywhere. And the reason that these drops are being so much more deadly than they were in game number 1 is the lack of Mutalisks. No Mutalisks on the field means that there is the ability to drop so much easier. The second you throw some Mutalisks into this mix, drops get shut down pretty hardcore. Something that you want to be very cautious about as a Terran player. But no Mutalisks, drops can go to town, and that's what Jjakji's trying to do. Remember, this is game 2 of a best of 3. If Nerchio wins it, he wins the best of 3 and wins the ESL Euroseries for Team Acer, or goes through to the final. He wins the semi-final. Jjakji has to win this game to be in with a chance to do it. It's not all over if Jjakji wins this. There will be another game. So Jjakji has a significant amount of pressure resting on his shoulders. And he's up against a very formidable Zerg. Forward, though, comes the might of the Terran army. Does Nerchio have enough to defend this? There's no hidden drops coming through, just one towards the 4th. Another now coming through. Nerchio wasn't aware that these were on their way forward. This is opening up the center of the map, potentially for Jjakji to try and make his way through, but he's playing it safe. He knows that a couple of good fungal growths could ruin his day. He's happy with the damage that he's doing for the moment. He's killed 16 workers. Resources lost is pretty similar. 1700 resources is not a big difference in a ZvT at this stage of the game. So, Jjakji, busy producing as many CCs as he can, or 2. just to try and take some more bases. Nerchio's fourth is now operational. This is the longest it's been up so far this game at 21.5 minutes. But he's also maxed out, basically. He's going for a lot of pressure. There's a decent chunk of banelings on the field, 33 of them. Jjakji has to get some great splitting on his marines because fungal growths are there as well. One good fungal could ruin the day. In come the banelings. Big fungals on everything. Marauders are near the back with banelings tumbling through. Nerchio's Ultralisks are able to stay up. They are dealing a lot of damage. The Marauders trying to pick them apart. The Infestors getting taken out. The damage is going well. But still, Jjakji with some great positioning on his Marauders, trying to trade, trying to win this. This could be the moment that Nerchio wins this semi-final for Acer, unless Jjakji is able to hold off these last few Ultras. A trickle of Marauders reinforcing their way through, while drops are taking out these bases. Jjakji opting for the counter-attack as opposed to the defense at the moment, and that's causing a bit of indecision from Nerchio. He's not sure what he should do. He checks to see if the fourth was up and now decides to retreat because his natural base is now getting attacked. He's already lost his fourth. And while he's taken out the third of Jjakji, another one's on its way. An Ultralisk dies. Nerchio is very low on minerals at the moment because his bases are starting to get low on resources. Jjakji, with his Orbit Command still there, and now the fourth base taken, is going to be able to level this out. He might only be at 38 workers, but he's got those 3 mules. That is huge. But Nerchio getting ready for more damage. 5 Balings morphing in, and to be honest, Jjakji doesn't have too much. He is up in army supply, but a lot of that army supply is in medevacs. He's not got that much on the ground. 15 Marauders are there, and without the Infestors, it's going to be very challenging for Nerchio to break it. At risk of losing another Ultralisk, it is very low on health, 6 HP there. But Jjakji still pressing in, still trying to knock out any units that he can. If he can deny Nerchio's fourth once more, while he's still got 4 bases up, I still think Nerchio is in trouble. Jjakji is now at 3-3 upgrades as well. That actually gives him the upgrade lead. Nerchio has not this game researched +3 melee attack. Maybe he thought he did. Perhaps he messed things up and he just missed it and hasn't realized that error. But it is suddenly going to start affecting him. Nerchio, being a 2-3 up against 3-3, will favor the trades for Jjakji, especially when their supplies are so equal. Both players sitting roughly around, or averaging around 135 supply there. So not much between them, about 10 overall supply, but the army supply heavily in Jjakji's favor due to the work count being much lower. Another drop coming forward, Marauders coming down, going to try and take that down, but with the Spore Cooler there, gets back a good number of fungal growths actually being used, and this is where Nerchio needs to be careful conserving his Infestor energy. He's got 9 out admittedly, but he wants those fungal growths in any engagement. Cancel Force on the 5th base. Good control coming down at the moment from Jjakji. We're now 26 minutes into this game, and it's been intense the entire way. Still not seeing either player pull massively ahead. Both are ahead in some regard. Trades have been going a bit better for Nerchio recently. Those infestors getting some great fungal growths down, allowing him to really shut down an army perhaps otherwise Jjakji would micro away from. And then the Ultras and Banelings closing it up. So, going on from here, Nerchio and Jjakji near equal supply. Nerchio with a much higher worker count though. However, Jjakji from the side, once again, a good number of infantry units coming through. An Ultralisk is going to go down and then a quick boost away. An Ultralisk for a couple of Marines is a fantastic trade for Jjakji. But Nerchio attempting to get a 5th. The reason he needs that 5th base is down to Jjakji being on 4 bases. Nerchio spent this entire game on equal bases with the Terran player. And that is so hard to do. You can't keep doing that. You've got to get a base up and make sure that you maintain it. Even though the worker count's low, if we look at the income, we can actually see that Jjakji's leveling out the minerals, and that's due to mules. While the gas is hugely in Nerchio's favor, Jjakji's got 2,000 banked up, but all he's spending gas on, realistically, is a bit on Marauders and on medevacs, not much else. Jjakji's got more than enough gas, so as long as he doesn't lose all of his medevacs, he should be okay. More and more Banelings are coming through, but Jjakji getting his way forward now. Infested Terran Infestors are there, going for some big fungal growths. managing to close up a lot of this army, preventing it from splitting, allowing the Banelings and Ultras to close down that gap, deal the damage that they have to get down. A few infested Terrans getting thrown out, meaning the medevacs will fall, but the Ultralisk count diminishing rapidly. Nerchio is very low on minerals, and that's due to how many or how few bases he's currently got. One lone marauder trying to be a hero, trying to take this down, going to be aided by some of his buddies here. If this fourth base falls, I've said it time and time again, Nerchio is going to be in significant problems because he's mined out of his main and natural now. He'd only have half a mining base if this falls. If either of these bases fall, it's going to be bad times for Nerchio. Jjakji still with a decent number of Widow Mines, pulling back. Detonations go down. Most do hit that in Ultralisk, but the Infestors are running low on energy. Jjakji piling on the pain. He's got a decent income. He's got decent reinforcements coming through. He's still 40 odd supply up over his opponent, and he's going to be looking to make that work for him. Jjakji with good spread. He's got to keep his army as little compacted as he can. Yes, it increases the damage he takes from Zerglings, but the Banelings and Infestors getting big fungal growths down are what cause the big problems to him. Infestor energy now getting very low. We can see that only a couple with enough energy for a fungal growth. The Widow Mines getting some nice detonations. Rebo up quickly. Some big hits on a lot of those links. Jjakji retreating back. He's taken out the majority of the Zerglings and those Banelings. The Infestors still there. He's dropping though. The natural base is about to fall. The fourth base about to fall. The fifth is still up and running, but Jjakji can easily swing around there. The natural base has got taken down. Jjakji about to take out the fourth. Does do it. And now Jjakji will take the game, leveling out this series 1-1, and that means we get game number 3. And Jjakji has brought this back to make this semi-final of the ESL Euroseries as close as it could possibly be.